Welcome back. In this video, I'll be finishing up the port side bottom chine rail. And I need to thank William McCree, Mark Palmer, and Errol Seeger for the helpful comments. But as usual, the best advice came from Master Oogway.
One often meets his destiny on the road he takes to avoid it.
And in my case, I'd been avoiding using the hand planes. But no more. I use the rebate plane where the chine bottom rail meets the chine laminates. And a large hand plane to shape the chine bottom rail to the frames. Now, let's get started on the port side chine bottom rail. Instead of creating a laminate from thinner pieces, I decided to use one larger timber that I shaped to the bulk shape of the chine bottom rail with the bandsaw. So here on the port side of the boat, what I'm going to try to do is one timber, and I'm going to bend it and clamp it in to make the bottom chine rail. And then I'm going to try to, I'll call it ferret, but really shape it right into place on the boat, doing a very different method from what I did on the starboard side. As always, I coat each bonding surface with unthickened epoxy. And then, with epoxy thickened with colloidal silica, due to the awkward shape at the stem, I found a screw to be the best clamp. Because I had so much material to remove, I started with the power planer, but I must admit that I was a bit too aggressive and I clipped the stem early on. Then I cleaned up my workshop in the laziest way I know. It was time to face my fears. As you can see, there was a bit of a learning curve for me, both in using the wood plane and setting the gap between the plane and the blade. But after a few minutes, my skills improved, and I increased the replay speed to 2x. The rebate plane turned out to be the perfect tool to plane the edge right between the chine bottom rail and the chine laminate. Finally, I pulled out the belt sander to smooth the components together at the stem and at each of the frames. Looking at the stem, you can see where I earlier clipped it with the power plane. This will have to be fixed with thickened epoxy during planking. Let's take one final look at the port side chine bottom rail, planed to perfection. You'll notice that I didn't take the chine bottom rail all the way to the back of the boat. Instead, I'll fill this with thickened epoxy . Till next time, cheers.